Hello and welcome to another video where I show you 6 more or less obscure HM2 pedals that I have in my collection. So the first obscure pedal is the Dunwich HM2 clone. And why is it obscure? Well, it has, I think it's a 4-band EQ, although I haven't really found out what those knobs really do. And it has 2 mini switches and those 2 staff. I don't know which staff. Every knob is unlabeled. And it has a highly unique tone. I think it was the first HM2 clone that had a distinctive different tone. There were always HM2 clones, even the early ones, that sounded different. The Left Hand Ref, for instance, improved this tone, but this one is just different, and it was the first one. It's also not available anymore, and I think it's really expensive these days. And therefore I put it on the list. Next up is my Xyx Tag HMD1. It is made in Siberia, Russia, and this one, I think there are only small batches available every now and then, but most of the time it's out of order, out of stock. And well, why is it obscure? Because it has the most obscure function I have ever seen in any HM2 clone. It's this knob here. Well, what does this knob do? I quickly connected it to my interface. I've only maxed the mids, and as you can see, here are the mids. You get 2 peaks, you know, from the HM2. And now what focus does? Well, see for yourself. It separates the 2 high peaks and leaves this huge gap around the 670 Hz region, and the 950 Hz peak goes to around 400 Hz, and the 1.2K peak goes to 2.2K. And I haven't seen this knob on any other pedal, that's why it's on the list. Next in line is the Ares Effects Merciless Distortion. This one is out of production, it's not available anymore, and I think this is obscure because it's the HM2 clone or the HM2 based pedal with the least amount of distortion I've ever seen. This is really not a merciless distortion, it's more a merciless drive. It can go so clean, and well, that's really unique. It also has a benefit because you can basically add more gain to your distorted amp if you prefer an HM2 in front of the distorted amp, and you don't run into any noise issues with this one. Next up is the Daemon by Barrik audio devices, and this one, well, it's claimed that it's based on the HM2. It even has HM here, but it's so unique. It's, well, basically your HM2 pedal from a different dimension, because it's more oriented towards a black metal audience, at least in my opinion. And the EQs are kind of off. You have lots of different options here, and you can't get the original chainsaw, but you get another chainsaw, and that's really interesting. This pedal should be available, and you should be able to get it brand new as of making this video. Next up is the Oliver HM20. This one is really obscure because it's made in Brazil. It's basically only available in Brazil, and it's original HM2. It's made with original schematics, it's licensed by Boss, and it sounds absolutely identical to the Boss. Funny thing, this is really expensive outside of Brazil, but inside Brazil, it's really cheap. And with this said, let's head over to the last pedal. And the last obscure HM2 pedal is the Danelectro Fabtone. Why is this obscure? Well, I bought it, I tested it, and I basically didn't know that it could do chainsaw. And it can chainsaw if you zero the bass and zero the treble control, because then it leaves you with a mid bump that's in chainsaw territory and can actually do a quite cool chainsaw in front of the distorted amp, obviously. There is a budget version of this in a smaller housing. It's the Danelectro Black Coffee, and this one can chainsaw as well if you zero the bass and the treble. This is also only missing gain control. Now I'll give you a quick audio comparison of all the 6 pedals, and I use the same setup for every pedal. It's my Fractal Audio XFX 3 with the Marshall emulation. I've set it to a nice crunchy tone, goes into Jens Bogren IR. Please keep in mind that those pedals sound best in front of crunch amp, in my opinion. Yours may very well differ. And some of those pedals only chainsaw in front of a driven amp. For instance, the Danelectro Fabtone. So there you have it. Those were some obscure pedals that I have in my collection that do the chainsaw. And now I'm curious, what do you think about those pedals? Do you have a favorite? Or do you know any other obscure HM2 pedals that I should try out in a future iteration of this format? Just let me know down in the comment section. Oh, and if you want to support this channel, you might want to check out the links in the description. And with this said, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. May the force be with you and have a nice day.